Welcome back to Secret of the Zodiac, fellow stargazers and cosmic travelers. The universe has aligned perfectly for today's exploration into one of the Zodiac's most fascinating dynamics, the fiery relationships between bold Aries and their most challenging astrological counterparts. There's something truly captivating about understanding why certain signs create friction with others, especially when it comes to the passionate, driven ram of the zodiac. Imagine this. You're an Aries, born under the influence of Mars, the planet of action, warfare, and desire. Your soul burns with ambition. Your mind races with ideas and patience. Well, that's something other signs were blessed with. The Aries spirit craves movement, adventure, and immediate results. When you have a vision, you want to manifest it instantly, cutting through obstacles with the sharpness of your horns and the power of your determination. The stars have woven intricate patterns that connect us all, but some of these cosmic threads create tension rather than harmony. For Aries, whose elemental nature is fire, certain signs seem almost deliberately designed to extinguish their flames or redirect their burning energy in ways that feel restrictive and frustrating. This isn't just abstract astrology. This is about the real-life dynamics you experience every day. That coworker who insists on meticulously planning every project detail while you're ready to dive in head first. The friend who responds to your passionate outburst with emotional withdrawal rather than matching your intensity. The family member whose rigid adherence to tradition clashes with your desire to forge new paths. These interactions aren't random. They're written in the stars, embedded in the fundamental energies that shape our personalities. What makes these astrological clashes so fascinating is how predictable yet profound they can be. The ram's straightforward nature means they often don't understand why everyone can't just say what they mean, act decisively, and embrace spontaneity. When confronted with signs that operate from completely different fundamental values, the result is often bewilderment, followed by frustration. Today's journey through the zodiac will illuminate the 4 signs that most frequently trigger Aries' infamous temper. We'll dive deep into the psychological mechanics behind these cosmic conflicts, exploring not just which signs make Aries see red, but exactly why these interactions become so challenging. This understanding doesn't just satisfy curiosity, it provides practical insight for navigating relationships, whether you're an Aries yourself or have important Aries people in your life. The cosmic insights we're about to unveil have helped thousands in our community better understand their relationships, workplace dynamics, and even family tensions. That's the power of astrological wisdom. It transforms confusion into clarity, conflict into understanding. If you're new here, this is exactly why our growing cosmic community keeps coming back for more celestial insights. Join us by hitting that subscribe button right now. The universe has so many more secrets to share with you in the weeks ahead. As we explore these challenging zodiac relationships, you'll likely recognize patterns from your own life experiences. Those moments of frustration when you couldn't understand why someone approached a situation so differently from how you would. The relationships that simultaneously fascinate and frustrate you. The dynamics that create both creative tension and exhausting conflict. Our journey begins with the infamous clash between impulsive Aries and methodical Taurus, a fundamental battle between speed and stability that has played out countless times across the cosmic stage. The stubborn bull represents everything that makes an Aries blood pressure rise: resistance to change, deliberate slowness, and an unshakable commitment to doing things their way, regardless of how urgent the situation might seem to the impatient ram. The first sign that consistently drives Aries to the brink of frustration is none other than Taurus, the stubborn bull of the zodiac. This earth sign, firmly planted between April 20th and May 20th, embodies qualities that fundamentally oppose the Aries approach to life in ways that create natural friction whenever these two cosmic forces meet. The celestial dynamics between these neighboring signs resemble siblings with completely opposite personalities, connected by proximity but divided by perspective. When an Aries encounters a Taurus, they're meeting their astrological counterpoint. While Aries bursts with cardinal fire energy, always ready to initiate action and embrace change, Taurus stands firmly rooted in fixed earth energy, valuing stability, consistency, and methodical progress above all else. This fundamental difference in elemental nature creates a clash that manifests in practically every interaction between these signs. Consider how Aries approaches a new project. With immediate enthusiasm, diving headfirst into action, figuring out details along the way, prioritizing speed and momentum. Their Martian energy demands expression through movement and progress. The very essence of Aries thrives on quick decisions, rapid implementation, and the exhilarating rush of immediate action. Time is a resource to be used immediately, not saved for later consideration. Now contrast this with the Taurian approach: careful planning, thorough preparation, methodical execution, and unwavering patience. Governed by Venus, Taurus believes anything worth doing deserves the time required to do it properly. They meticulously consider every variable, potential obstacle, and possible outcome before taking even the first step. To Taurus, this isn't unnecessary delay. It's essential groundwork that ensures stable, lasting results. This temporal disconnect creates scenarios where Aries feels perpetually held back by what they perceive as Taurus's maddening slowness. In professional settings, an Aries might propose an exciting new initiative, burning with enthusiasm to implement it immediately, only to have their Taurus colleague insist on weeks of research, planning, and preparation before proceeding. The Ram interprets this as resistance or lack of vision, while the Bull sees it as responsible stewardship. Neither understands why the other can't recognize the wisdom in their approach. The frustration compounds because both signs possess legendary stubbornness, albeit expressed in dramatically different ways. Aries' stubbornness manifests as aggressive persistence, repeatedly charging at obstacles until they yield or break. Taurus' stubbornness takes the form of immovable resistance, planting firmly in position and refusing to be budged by external pressure. When these two forces collide over a disagreement, the result resembles an unstoppable force meeting an immovable object, a cosmic standoff where neither side possesses the tools to effectively persuade the other. In personal relationships, this dynamic often plays out in decisions about lifestyle, routines, and approaches to change. Aries thrives on spontaneity, frequently suggesting last-minute plan changes, surprise adventures, or impulsive decisions that keep life feeling fresh and exciting. To them, flexibility represents freedom and vitality. Taurus, however, finds comfort and security in predictability. They establish routines and patterns that provide stability and resist disruptions to these carefully constructed systems. "Let's try something different tonight," suggests the enthusiastic Aries partner, proposing an impromptu evening adventure to break routine. "We already had plans," responds the Taurus, genuinely confused about why anyone would want to abandon a perfectly good arrangement for an uncertain alternative. This simple exchange encapsulates the fundamental disconnect. Aries sees exciting possibility where Taurus sees unnecessary disruption. Neither perspective is inherently wrong, but their incompatibility creates recurring tension that exhausts both signs over time. The financial sphere provides another battleground for Aries-Taurus conflicts. Governed by Venus, Taurus develops a careful, sometimes conservative approach to material resources. They value quality over quantity, durability over novelty, and security over opportunity. This typically translates to thoughtful spending habits, methodical saving patterns, and general financial prudence. Money to Taurus represents security and should be treated with appropriate respect and caution. Aries, animated by impulsive Martian energy, often adopts a more spontaneous approach to finances. They might make purchases based on immediate desire rather than long-term utility, invest in high-risk opportunities that promise exciting returns, or generally view money as a tool for creating experiences rather than building security. When these approaches intersect in shared financial situations, whether in business partnerships, romantic relationships, or friendships, conflict naturally emerges. The Taurian insistence on budgeting, saving, and carefully considering expenditures feels unnecessarily restrictive to freedom-loving Aries. Meanwhile, the Aries' tendency towards spontaneous spending activates Taurus's deepest financial insecurities. Every shopping trip, investment decision, or budget discussion becomes a battlefield where their fundamentally different values clash. Perhaps most frustrating for fiery Aries is the Taurian resistance to emotional escalation during conflicts. When disagreements arise, Aries expresses frustration openly and passionately, their emotions flaring visibly as they articulate their position with increasing intensity. They expect emotional engagement that matches their own energy, a heated exchange that clears the air through direct expression. Taurus, however, responds to conflict by becoming more measured, more controlled, often retreating into stoic silence or maddeningly calm responses that feel dismissive to the passionate ram. This emotional disconnect creates scenarios where Aries feels increasingly frustrated by what they interpret as Taurus's passive-aggressive refusal to engage, while Taurus feels overwhelmed by what they perceive as Aries' disproportionate emotional reaction. The more Aries escalates to provoke a response, the more Taurus withdraws to maintain control, creating a dysfunctional cycle that leaves both signs feeling fundamentally misunderstood. Despite these challenges, when Aries and Taurus manage to harness their differences productively, they create a powerful combination. Aries provides the initial spark and visionary direction that Taurus can then develop into tangible, lasting results. The ram initiates, the bull builds. But achieving this complementary dynamic requires significant patience, understanding, and willingness to appreciate perspectives that feel foreign to their natural inclinations. The second sign that consistently triggers Aries' frustration is Cancer, the sensitive crab of the zodiac. Where Taurus challenged Aries with stubborn immobility, Cancer presents an entirely different kind of obstacle, emotional complexity that feels labyrinthine to the straightforward ram. This water sign, ruling from June 21st to July 22nd, operates from a deeply intuitive and feeling-centered place that can leave logical, action-oriented Aries feeling completely disoriented. Imagine two people speaking entirely different languages without a translator. This metaphor captures the fundamental communication disconnect between Aries and Cancer. Aries communicates primarily through direct statements, explicit requests, and clear expressions of thought. Their Martian influence creates a communication style that values brevity, clarity, and immediacy. When an Aries has a problem, they state it plainly. When they want something, they ask for it directly. This straightforward approach reflects their overall philosophy. Identify the target, move toward it in the most direct path possible, and address any obstacles head-on. Cancer, governed by the moon, communicates through emotional nuance, subtle cues, and implicit messages that require emotional intelligence to decode. They express themselves through tone shifts, facial expressions, and behavioral changes that often carry more meaning than their actual words. For Cancer, emotional context isn't supplementary information. It's the primary text, with words serving merely as footnotes to their feelings. This indirect communication style stems from their self-protective nature. The crab approaches social interactions sideways, never exposing their vulnerable underbelly unless they feel completely safe. When these contrasting communication styles meet, misunderstanding becomes inevitable. An Aries partner might ask, "What's wrong?" when noticing their Cancer companion's quiet mood. "Nothing," responds Cancer, expecting Aries to intuit that nothing actually means something significant that I need you to discover through patient attention rather than direct questioning. The Aries, taking the response at face value, moves on with their day, completely missing the emotional cues that would be obvious to more intuitive signs. Hours later, when Cancer's mood has deteriorated further, Aries finds themselves bewildered by an emotional reaction that seems to have emerged from nowhere. "But I asked what was wrong and you said nothing," protests the confused ram. "If you really cared, you would have known something was bothering me," responds the hurt crab. This exchange perfectly captures why Cancer often ranks high on the list of signs that frustrate Aries. The expectation of emotional telepathy feels unreasonable to direct Aries, while Cancer finds Aries' inability to read between the lines emotionally insensitive. Neither can easily access the other's perspective, creating a communication gap that requires tremendous effort to bridge. The first reason this pairing struggles involves their dramatically different approaches to conflict resolution. Aries believes in addressing problems immediately and directly. When something bothers them, they confront it head-on, preferring a heated 10-minute argument that clears the air to days of tension and uncertainty. Their conflict style reflects their overall approach to obstacles, charged directly at them until they yield or break. This isn't aggression for aggression's sake. It's an honest belief that direct confrontation is the clearest path to resolution. Cancer, however, approaches conflict indirectly and often needs significant processing time before they are ready to address issues. When hurt or angry, their first instinct is to retreat into their protective shell, creating emotional distance until they've sorted through their complex feelings. Confrontation feels threatening rather than clarifying to the sensitive crab, who prefers to approach difficult conversations sideways rather than head-on, often using past experiences or hypothetical scenarios to communicate their feelings indirectly. This fundamental disconnect creates a dysfunctional pattern. Aries pushes for immediate resolution through direct confrontation, which feels threatening to Cancer, causing them to withdraw further, which frustrates Aries and intensifies their confrontational approach. The more Aries pushes, the more Cancer retreats, creating a cycle that leaves both signs feeling misunderstood and disrespected. The second reason this zodiac pairing struggles centers on their different relationships with emotional memory. Aries lives primarily in the present moment, their fiery nature consuming experiences intensely but briefly. When conflicts arise, they express their feelings powerfully, resolve the issue in their mind, and move forward without looking back. Yesterday's argument belongs to yesterday. Today represents a fresh start with no emotional carryover. This ability to compartmentalize and move on reflects the ram's forward-facing orientation, always charging ahead rather than dwelling on the past. Cancer, by contrast, possesses one of the most developed emotional memories in the zodiac. Governed by the moon, which holds ancient associations with memory and the past, Cancer retains emotional experiences with remarkable clarity and persistence. A harsh word spoken in a moment of frustration might be forgotten immediately by Aries, but remembered by Cancer months or even years later. The emotional impact of experiences accumulates for Cancer, creating patterns and associations that influence their present feelings in ways that seem irrational to more present-focused signs. This disparity creates scenarios where Aries believes an issue has been completely resolved, only to discover that Cancer is still processing emotional residue from conflicts they barely remember. The ram's bewildered. "Why are you still upset about that?" meets the crab's equally bewildered. "How could you forget something that hurt me so deeply?" Neither can easily understand the other's emotional timeline, creating recurring frustration as past issues continually resurface in ways Aries finds exhausting and unnecessary. The third reason this cosmic pairing generates friction involves their contrasting needs for emotional expression and security. Aries expresses emotions as they arise, immediate, intense, and without filter. Their emotional landscape resembles a summer thunderstorm, powerful, dramatic, and quickly passing to reveal clear skies. This transparent expression feels healthy and natural to the ram, who doesn't understand why anyone would suppress or complicate such a straightforward process. Cancer approaches emotions with greater complexity and caution. Their emotional landscape resembles the ocean, deep, constantly shifting, with powerful currents running beneath a sometimes calm surface. They process feelings in layers, often needing to understand the source and implications of their emotions before expressing them. This cautious approach stems from their profound need for emotional security. Vulnerable expression only feels safe within established trust and consistent reassurance. When these approaches intersect, both signs feel fundamentally misunderstood. Aries perceives Cancer's emotional complexity as unnecessarily complicated or even manipulative, while Cancer experiences Aries' straightforward expression as emotionally immature or insensitive. The ram can't understand why the crab won't just say what they mean, while the crab can't understand why the ram won't invest in the emotional awareness necessary to understand what isn't being said. The fourth reason this pairing struggles involves their different orientations towards security and risk. Aries thrives on challenge, stimulation, and even a degree of uncertainty. Their Martian courage manifests as a willingness to take risks, embrace change, and venture into unknown territory without guarantees. Security to Aries often feels synonymous with stagnation, a comfortable rut that prevents growth and adventure. Cancer, conversely, values emotional and physical security above almost all else. Their self-protective nature seeks to establish safe harbors, relationships, homes, and routines that provide consistent comfort and predictability. Risk represents potential threat rather than exciting opportunity, and change requires careful management rather than enthusiastic embrace. These opposing orientations create natural tension in shared decision-making. Whether choosing living arrangements, planning the future, or navigating life changes, Aries pushes toward options that promise excitement and growth, while Cancer gravitates toward choices that ensure stability and security. Neither can easily understand why the other doesn't recognize the wisdom in their approach, creating a fundamental disconnect that requires significant compromise to navigate successfully. The third sign that consistently drives Aries to the edge of frustration is Capricorn, the disciplined goat of the zodiac. After navigating the stubborn resistance of Taurus and the emotional labyrinth of Cancer, Aries now faces perhaps their most formidable structural opponent. This earth sign, ruling from December 22nd to January 19th, embodies qualities that systematically oppose the Aries spirit in ways that feel suffocating to the freedom-loving ram. Where Cancer challenged Aries emotionally, Capricorn presents a different kind of obstacle: rigid structure, traditional authority, and disciplined restraint that feels like an institutional prison to the rebellious Aries spirit. Imagine the cosmic forces designing two signs to embody opposing approaches to life's fundamental questions. Aries, crafted to represent pure initiative, spontaneous action, and the unfettered expression of individual will. Capricorn, designed to embody discipline, responsibility, and the measured progress that comes through adherence to established systems. These contrasting cosmic archetypes don't merely disagree on specific issues, they represent fundamentally opposing philosophies about how life should be approached. At the core of this astrological clash lies Saturn, Capricorn's planetary ruler. As the cosmic taskmaster and embodiment of limitation, structure, and consequence, Saturn infuses Capricorn with qualities that directly challenge the Martian nature of Aries. Mars seeks immediate action. Saturn demands patient work. Mars breaks boundaries. Saturn enforces them. Mars represents individual will. Saturn represents collective order. This planetary opposition manifests in every interaction between these signs, creating a fundamental disconnect that requires tremendous effort to bridge. The first reason this pairing generates such consistent friction involves their dramatically different relationships with authority and rules. Aries possesses an inherently rebellious spirit, questioning established norms and resisting external control almost instinctively. Their approach to rules resembles their approach to obstacles. If a rule blocks their desired path, they challenge it directly or find creative ways to circumvent it. This isn't mere defiance, it's a genuine belief that rules should serve people rather than restrict their natural expression. Why becomes the Aries battle cry when confronted with limitations that feel arbitrary or unnecessary. Capricorn, conversely, respects structure, tradition, and established authority as essential components of a functioning society. Their Saturn-ruled nature recognizes that consistent systems, hierarchies, and regulations provide the stable foundation necessary for sustainable progress. Where Aries sees unnecessary restriction, Capricorn sees necessary order. Rules to the disciplined goat aren't arbitrary limitations, but carefully developed guidelines that maintain collective stability and enable measured advancement. This fundamental difference creates scenarios where Aries finds themselves bewildered by Capricorn's seemingly blind adherence to protocols they find pointless or restrictive. In professional settings, an Aries might suggest bypassing standard procedures to achieve faster results, only to have their Capricorn colleague insist on following established processes regardless of the delay. The Ram's exasperated, "Why can't we just do it the faster way?" meets the Goat's equally exasperated, "Because that's not how it's supposed to be done." Neither can easily access the other's perspective, creating a fundamental disconnect that manifests as recurring frustration. The second reason this cosmic pairing struggles centers on their contrasting timelines for achievement and success. Aries operates on perhaps the shortest success timeline in the zodiac, seeking immediate results, quick victories, and visible progress. Their Martian impatience manifests as an intense drive to see tangible outcomes from their efforts without delay. When Aries invests energy in a project or goal, they expect corresponding results almost immediately and become frustrated when progress doesn't materialize at the speed they anticipate. Capricorn, however, possesses the longest success timeline in the zodiac, understanding that meaningful achievement often requires sustained effort over extended periods. Governed by Saturn, the planet associated with time itself, Capricorn recognizes that lasting success comes through methodical progress, strategic patience, and the cumulative effect of consistent work. Their approach to achievement resembles building a stone cathedral, each carefully placed block contributing to a structure designed to stand for generations. This temporal disconnect creates scenarios where Aries becomes increasingly frustrated by what they perceive as unnecessarily slow progress, while Capricorn grows equally frustrated by what they interpret as Aries' short-sighted impatience. The Ram's urgent, "We need results now," clashes with the Goat's measured, "We need to build something that lasts." Each finds the other's timeline philosophy not merely different but fundamentally flawed, creating tension whenever they collaborate toward shared goals. The third reason this pairing generates friction involves their different relationships with public perception and social standing. Aries operates from a deeply individualistic perspective, making decisions based primarily on personal conviction rather than social expectation. Their authentic self-expression takes priority over conforming to external standards, and they often pride themselves on their willingness to act according to their own principles, regardless of conventional opinion. "Who cares what people think?" becomes the Aries mantra when facing potential social disapproval. Capricorn, however, maintains acute awareness of reputation, social standing, and public perception as crucial components of long-term success. Their Saturn-influenced perspective recognizes that sustainable achievement requires not only personal capability, but also strategic navigation of social systems and hierarchies. How one is perceived affects what opportunities become available, which connections develop, and ultimately how effectively one can manifest their ambitions. This isn't superficial image consciousness, it's practical recognition of social reality. This fundamental difference creates scenarios where Aries finds themselves mystified by Capricorn's careful attention to impression management, interpreting it as unnecessary conformity or even inauthentic people-pleasing. Meanwhile, Capricorn grows increasingly frustrated by what they perceive as Aries' self-sabotaging disregard for strategic social positioning. The Ram's dismissive, "Just be yourself," clashes with the Goat's pragmatic, "How you present yourself matters." Neither can easily appreciate the wisdom in the other's approach, creating recurring conflict whenever social dynamics affect their shared endeavors. The fourth reason this zodiac pairing struggles involves their dramatically different approaches to planning and structure. Aries thrives in dynamic, flexible environments that allow for spontaneous adaptation and creative pivoting. Their planning style tends toward broad vision rather than detailed strategy, identifying the desired destination but remaining flexible about the exact path to reach it. This approach allows them to seize unexpected opportunities, incorporate new information quickly, and maintain the excitement that comes with a degree of uncertainty. Capricorn, conversely, excels through careful planning, detailed strategy, and methodical execution. Their approach to achievement involves mapping out specific steps, anticipating potential obstacles, establishing clear timelines, and following structured processes with disciplined consistency. This methodical approach doesn't stem from rigidity, but from practical recognition that sustainable progress requires systematic effort rather than sporadic inspiration. When these contrasting styles intersect in collaborative efforts, both signs become increasingly frustrated by what they perceive as the other's fundamentally flawed approach. Aries experiences Capricorn's structured planning as unnecessarily restrictive micromanagement that stifles creativity and momentum. Capricorn perceives Aries' flexible approach as chaotic improvisation that creates preventable problems and wastes resources. The Ram's exasperated, "Why can't we just figure it out as we go?" clashes with the Goat's equally exasperated, "Why can't we just plan properly from the start?" Neither can easily recognize the potential strengths in the other's methodology. The fifth reason. This pairing generates persistent friction, involves their different relationships with tradition and innovation. Aries instinctively pushes against established methods, seeking new approaches and fresh perspectives, even when conventional wisdom suggests otherwise. Their pioneering spirit thrives on challenging assumptions, breaking precedents, and forging unexplored paths. Just because it's always been done that way doesn't mean it's the best way, becomes their rallying cry when confronting traditional methodologies. Capricorn, however, respects tradition as the accumulated wisdom of collective experience, valuing proven approaches that have demonstrated reliability over time. Their Saturn-influenced perspective recognizes that established methods often persist precisely because they work consistently, while untested innovations frequently hide unforeseen complications beneath their exciting novelty. This isn't blind conservatism, but practical respect for solutions refined through generations of implementation. This fundamental difference creates scenarios where Aries grows increasingly frustrated by what they perceive as Capricorn's stubborn adherence to outdated approaches, while Capricorn becomes equally frustrated by what they interpret as Aries' reckless disregard for proven methods. Neither can easily appreciate the wisdom in balancing innovation with tradition, creating a persistent tension that manifests whenever they approach shared challenges. The fourth sign that consistently triggers Aries' frustration is Virgo, the meticulous maiden of the zodiac. After confronting Taurus's stubborn resistance, Cancer's emotional complexity, and Capricorn's rigid structure, Aries now faces perhaps their most analytically challenging opponent. This Earth sign, ruling from August 23rd to September 22nd, embodies qualities that systematically undermine the Aries spirit in ways that feel particularly deflating to the enthusiastic Ram. Where Capricorn challenged Aries with institutional structure, Virgo presents a different kind of obstacle: detailed analysis, perfectionist standards, and relentless criticism that can extinguish the Aries flame more effectively than any other sign. Imagine two cosmic forces designed to approach life's possibilities from opposite perspectives. Aries, crafted to see exciting potential, bold opportunity, and thrilling possibilities in every new horizon. Virgo, designed to identify potential problems, necessary improvements, and critical details that require attention before progress can safely proceed. These contrasting cosmic viewpoints don't merely disagree on specific approaches. They represent fundamentally opposing philosophical stances about how ideas should be evaluated and implemented. At the core of this astrological clash lies Mercury, Virgo's planetary ruler. As the cosmic analyst and embodiment of critical thinking, detailed communication, and methodical processing, Mercury infuses Virgo with qualities that directly challenge the Martian nature of Aries. Mars leaps forward. Mercury analyzes first. Mars embraces bold action. Mercury identifies potential pitfalls. Mars seeks exciting possibilities. Mercury focuses on necessary corrections. This planetary opposition manifests in practically every interaction between these signs, creating a fundamental disconnect that both find profoundly frustrating. The first reason this pairing generates such consistent friction involves their dramatically different approaches to new ideas and initiatives. Aries possesses a naturally enthusiastic response to possibilities, embracing new concepts with immediate excitement and visionary optimism. When an idea captures their imagination, they see its potential clearly and become energized by the exciting possibilities it represents. Their approach to innovation resembles a passionate love affair, immediate, intense, and focused on the thrilling potential rather than practical limitations. Virgo, conversely, approaches new ideas with analytical scrutiny, immediately identifying potential problems, necessary refinements, and practical considerations that require attention. Their Mercury-ruled nature instinctively processes information through a critical filter, not to destroy possibilities, but to improve them through careful analysis and methodical refinement. Where Aries sees exciting opportunity, Virgo sees necessary work. The maiden's first question isn't how amazing could this be, but rather what could go wrong and how can we prevent it? This fundamental difference creates scenarios where Aries presents a new idea with enthusiastic passion, only to have Virgo immediately respond with a detailed analysis of potential problems and necessary improvements. What Virgo intends as helpful refinement feels like deflating criticism to Aries, whose excitement quickly dissipates under the weight of analytical concerns. The ram's exhilarated, "Isn't this idea amazing?" meets the maiden's methodical, "Well, here are the 12 problems we need to solve first." Neither can easily appreciate the value in the other's approach, creating a communication dynamic that leaves both feeling misunderstood. The second reason this cosmic pairing struggle centers on their contrasting relationships with perfection in progress. Aries operates on a philosophy that prioritizes momentum over perfection, believing that forward movement, even with flaws, represents valuable progress. Their Martian impatience manifests as a willingness to launch initiatives at 80% completion, confident that remaining issues can be addressed through iterative improvement while maintaining crucial momentum. For Aries, waiting for perfect conditions often means missing valuable opportunities. Virgo, however, embodies perhaps the strongest perfectionist tendency in the zodiac, believing that excellence lies in meticulous attention to detail and thorough refinement before implementation. Their Mercury-influenced perspective recognizes that flawed execution creates preventable problems that ultimately require more time and energy to fix than would have been needed to address them properly from the start. For Virgo, rushing forward with incomplete preparation doesn't represent efficient progress, but rather short-sighted impatience. This philosophical disconnect creates scenarios where Aries becomes increasingly frustrated by what they perceive as Virgo's paralyzing perfectionism, while Virgo grows equally frustrated by what they interpret as Aries' reckless disregard for necessary quality standards. The ram's urgent, "Let's just get started," clashes with the maiden's measured, "Let's make sure we're doing this correctly." Each finds the other's approach not merely different, but fundamentally misguided, creating tension whenever they collaborate toward shared objectives. The third reason this pairing generates persistent friction involves their different relationships with criticism and feedback. Aries typically prefers positive reinforcement and enthusiastic support, drawing energy from encouragement that fuels their confident action. While they can certainly handle direct feedback, they process criticism best when it's balanced with recognition of strengths and delivered with enthusiasm for the overall vision. Their Martian nature thrives on positive momentum rather than corrective analysis. Virgo, conversely, expresses care and investment through detailed critical feedback, identifying specific improvements that could enhance outcomes. Their analytical nature focuses naturally on what could be better rather than what's already working well, not from negativity, but from a genuine desire to help achieve the best possible results. For Virgo, providing thorough critical analysis represents a form of support and investment rather than discouragement. This fundamental difference creates scenarios where Aries presents work they're excited about, only to receive what feels like an overwhelming flood of critical feedback from Virgo. What Virgo intends as helpful contribution feels like unnecessary negativity to Aries, whose enthusiasm quickly transforms into defensive frustration. The ram's hopeful, "What do you think of my project?" meets the maiden's detailed, "Here are 20 ways it could be improved." Neither can easily access the other's emotional experience, creating a feedback dynamic that leaves both feeling misunderstood and unappreciated. The fourth reason this zodiac pairing struggles involves their dramatically different approaches to problem solving. Aries excels at bold, decisive action when facing challenges, quickly identifying a direct approach and implementing it with confident determination. Their problem-solving style prioritizes immediate action, decisive intervention, and confident forward movement, often achieving results through sheer force of will and persistent effort. Complex problems don't intimidate Aries. They simply charge at them directly until breakthrough occurs. Virgo, however, approaches problems through methodical analysis, breaking complex challenges into component parts, identifying root causes, and developing systematic solutions that address fundamental issues rather than just symptoms. Their analytical style prioritizes understanding problems thoroughly before attempting to solve them, recognizing that effective solutions require precise diagnosis rather than just energetic intervention. This isn't overthinking. It's recognition that elegant solutions emerge from detailed understanding. When these contrasting approaches intersect in collaborative problem solving, both signs become increasingly frustrated by what they perceive as the other's fundamentally flawed methodology. Aries experiences Virgo's analytical process as unnecessary delay that prevents immediate action, while Virgo perceives Aries' direct approach as simplistic intervention that fails to address underlying complexities. The ram's impatient, "Let's just fix it now," clashes with the maiden's methodical, "Let's understand it fully first." Neither can easily recognize the potential value in integrating both approaches. The fifth reason this pairing generates consistent tension involves their different relationships with emotional and logical processing. Aries often approaches situations through intuitive feeling and passionate conviction, making decisions based on what feels right and energizes their spirit. Their Martian nature manifests as confident trust in their instinctive responses, believing that authentic enthusiasm represents valuable guidance when navigating possibilities. This isn't irrationality, it's recognition that emotional energy provides important information about optimal directions. Virgo, conversely, approaches situations through logical analysis and practical reasoning, making decisions based on careful evaluation of evidence and methodical assessment of options. Their Mercury-ruled nature prioritizes clear thinking over emotional response, believing that rational analysis provides more reliable guidance than fluctuating feelings. This isn't emotional disconnection. It's recognition that clear thinking creates more sustainable outcomes than emotional reactivity. This fundamental difference creates scenarios where Aries makes decisions based on passionate conviction, only to have Virgo question their reasoning and request logical justification. What Aries experiences as intuitive clarity feels like insufficient reasoning to Virgo, while what Virgo offers as helpful analysis feels like unnecessarily complicating the obvious to Aries. The ram's confident, "I can feel this is the right direction," meets the maiden's analytical, "But what evidence supports that conclusion?" Neither can easily validate the other's decision-making process, creating a persistent disconnect that manifests as recurring frustration. As we complete our astrological expedition through the 4 signs that consistently challenge the fiery Aries spirit, a fascinating pattern emerges, one that reveals the profound intelligence behind the zodiac's design. These challenging relationships aren't random cosmic accidents, but carefully crafted opportunities for growth and evolution that occur through the tension of opposing forces. We began with Taurus, the stubborn bull whose fixed earth energy creates the perfect counterbalance to Aries' impulsive fire. Where Aries demands speed, Taurus insists on thoroughness. Where Aries seeks immediate change, Taurus values stable consistency. This fundamental opposition creates tremendous friction, yet contains a profound opportunity. Aries learns patience and persistence from Taurus, while offering the bull lessons in flexibility and spontaneity. Their clash represents the cosmic tension between initiation and stabilization, both essential forces in any creative process. Our journey continued with Cancer, the sensitive crab, whose emotional complexity presents such a bewildering challenge to straightforward Aries. Their communication disconnect, Aries' direct expression versus Cancer's nuanced emotional language, creates recurring frustration, yet offers both signs invaluable lessons. Aries learns emotional intelligence and intuitive awareness from Cancer, while offering the crab lessons in clear communication and direct resolution. Their tension embodies the cosmic balance between action and feeling, complementary aspects of effective human experience. We then explored Capricorn, the disciplined goat whose structured approach to achievement stands in such stark contrast to Aries' spontaneous style. Their opposition, Aries' rebellious individualism versus Capricorn's respect for established systems, generates persistent conflict, yet provides essential developmental opportunities. Aries learns strategic patience and methodical discipline from Capricorn, while offering the goat lessons in creative innovation and bold initiative. Their clash represents the cosmic dialogue between freedom and structure, both necessary components of sustainable success. Finally, we examined Virgo, the perfectionist maiden whose analytical approach so effectively dampens Aries' enthusiastic fire. Their fundamental disconnect, Aries' excited vision versus Virgo's critical refinement, creates perhaps the most deflating dynamic for the ram, yet contains profound wisdom. Aries learns detailed excellence and methodical improvement from Virgo, while offering the maiden lessons in optimistic possibility and confident action. Their tension embodies the cosmic interplay between vision and refinement, complementary forces in any process of manifestation. What emerges from this exploration is a recognition that these challenging relationships constitute Aries' most important classroom. Through the frustration of engaging with these opposing energies, the ram develops balance, wholeness, and integration, learning to complement their natural strengths with qualities that don't come instinctively. The very signs that trigger Aries' greatest frustration offer precisely the lessons they most need for evolved expression of their fiery nature. This pattern extends beyond Aries to every sign in the zodiac. The cosmic design creates challenging relationships not as punishment but as opportunity, mirrors that reflect our undeveloped aspects and teachers that guide our growth through the productive tension of opposition. Our most frustrating relationships often contain our most important lessons, if we can approach them with awareness and openness. We invite you to continue this astrological exploration with us at Secret of the Zodiac. Our mission extends beyond simply describing zodiac traits to understanding the profound wisdom embedded in astrological relationships. Wisdom that can transform frustration into growth and opposition into integration. If you found value in this cosmic perspective, please subscribe to our channel and join our growing community of astrological explorers. Your subscription ensures you'll receive our daily zodiac insights directly in your feed, creating a continuous resource for understanding yourself and your relationships through the wisdom of the stars. We also encourage you to engage with our community by leaving thoughtful comments below. Share your experiences as an Aries dealing with these challenging signs, or perhaps your perspective as one of these signs interacting with Aries energy. The richness of our collective experience creates a valuable resource for everyone navigating these complex dynamics. If you've particularly resonated with this content and want to support the creation of more in-depth astrological explorations, please consider contributing through the Super Thanks feature. Your financial support directly addresses the costs associated with researching, creating, editing, and producing daily content of this quality. Every contribution, regardless of size, helps us continue delivering these cosmic insights and expanding our exploration of the zodiac's wisdom. Check out our previous videos exploring other fascinating astrological dynamics, including compatibility guides, personality deep dives, and practical applications of cosmic wisdom in everyday life. Our growing library of content provides resources for navigating every aspect of your astrological journey, Thank you for joining us in this exploration of the cosmic classroom, where challenging relationships reveal themselves as our greatest teachers and apparent opposition transforms into complementary wholeness. Until our stars align again in the next video, keep watching the skies and learning from the cosmic wisdom that surrounds us all.